All right, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to this week's iteration of Saturday Morning Tech and AI News. I am broadcasting from Brazil right now. I would kind of show y'all the background and stuff like that. We're not going to get into all of that. Y'all probably going to think it's green screen anyway. But jokes aside, of course, here at Saturday Morning Tech and AI News is where we're going to be discussing the latest, the most popular tech and AI news that's happened this week, because there's constant updates of things that are happening in the industry. Of course, I'm Cyrus Harbin, the founder of Tech is the New Black. And we have a couple cool things to mention to you that one of those things being Techpreneur Saturday, which is our tech networking, educational and collaboration event that is going to be taking place next Saturday, July 13th in Atlanta, Georgia. It is a free event, but it is registration first come, first serve. So for everyone who is interested, make sure that you do click the drop down so that way you can go there and actually click to register for the event. Aside from that, of course, I am a tech career consultant. Myself and Tech is the New Black, we've helped a couple thousand people be able to break into the tech industry. For anyone that is interested in either coaching when it comes to breaking in the industry or scaling career-wise, also there is a link there to book a one-on-one consultation with me. But aside from that, I'm going to pass it over to our special co-host today, Ashley.
Hi guys, and welcome to today's stream. It's a pleasure to have you. My name is Ash. I am a AI specialist and AI generative developer as well. My specialty is AI solutions. So if you are interested in how AI can help your business and maximize your ROI, whether it be productivity, efficiency, or of course profit, I am your girl. And there should be a link also available if you're interested in scheduling a meeting. But other than that, I am super excited to get into the AI developments of this week.
What's up, Trey? I see Trey in the comments. Trey works at a major tech company that's doing a lot of hiring right now. If y'all see him in the comments, make sure y'all tap in with him on LinkedIn and see what they got going on. Also, that being said, want to know where everybody's from. So let us know where you're tuning in from. But also let us know your name as well as like what role in tech you do or are aspiring to do. Because again, we want people to be able to network even in the comments and in the chat. So that way we're able to build relationships. So that way we can all help one another and be able to scale and grow together. So that being said, we're going to go ahead and jump straight into the news and get straight to it, because there's a lot of crazy news that's been going on this week. And kicking things off, that is the wrong button to click. All right, cool. All right, and kicking things off. Now, this news comes from Electric, where they say Toyota is set to unveil their first fully driving electric vehicle next year as it chases Tesla. Now, of course, just on a high level, most of you all know that we currently, as far as we can tell, do not have fully autonomous vehicles. There are some companies that are claiming that they do, but there's different stages and phases when it comes to autonomous vehicles. And right now, there is a race to have fully autonomous vehicles that can drive all around at least a nation by itself without a person having to manually involve themselves. And so, going on with this news, Toyota unveiling their first fully driving electric vehicle next year as it chases Tesla. All right, so as it looks to close the gap with Tesla and other EV tech leaders, Toyota is set to unveil its first EV with an advanced self-driving system. Toyota's joint venture, GAC Toyota, confirmed it's launching an EV with Tesla full self-drive-like capabilities next year in China.
Wow.
All right, now the news was announced this week at GAC Toyota's social media as it looks to close the technology gap with rivals like Tesla, Xpeng, BYD, NIO, and others in the region. Now, we can continue going through this, but definitely want to know y'all's opinion on this, because what's crazy to me is how, Elon Musk, he's clearly a genius. There's a lot of things that I love about him, a lot of things that I dislike about him, but that's most people. Ultimately, what's interesting to me when it comes to Elon is that he is an amazing marketer. And one of the things that he does with his marketing is that he announces things that his company is going to be able to do without even knowing if they're truly going to be able to do it. I mean, we've seen him do this with SpaceX. We've seen him do this time and time again with Tesla, not even just with him saying, okay, the Cybertrucks are going to be available, by end of year, which it took several years before the Cybertrucks are finally available, which is now this year. But also him saying when fully autonomous self-driving was going to be in the market. And he's been saying that for years that we're going to have fully autonomous vehicles, and Tesla's just not there yet. Now, that being said, I personally think it will be crazy if another company passes Tesla and beats them, especially since they were the ones that kind of started this whole race. It's almost like as if someone got a head start in a race. And then after they started the race, they announced the race, and then other people lined up, and it started like running and ended up catching up to them and passing them. I think that'd be pretty wild. Ashley, what is your take on this and just the whole EV self-driving market in general?
Oh, yeah. I mean, a great presentation and a great article to start with, Cyrus. So, essentially, my thoughts on this, I have to agree with you in saying that it would be absolutely insane if another company was to outrun Tesla itself. But nonetheless, I understand the competitiveness of the industry. And I do just see it as just a way that we're going to streamline and really advance innovation within this particular space. So, it's really, really exciting just to see more companies pop up. They aren't the first, and they certainly are not the last. So for Toyota itself, that has been an established brand for quite a while, to really take the reins and try and compete with Elon Musk is definitely very, very interesting to see. So I definitely see a future where the majority of cars are going to be electric vehicles. That's the push. A lot of even policies and our governments are really looking towards that. So it does make a lot of sense. And it's also interesting to see how we're going to really streamline this process. So exactly how does it look when we're going to be competing at a grand scale? And so for Toyota to really be taking these steps for the first full self-driving EV is absolutely insane, but nonetheless exciting to see.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. We got some comments on this topic. So we got a few people in the comments announcing where they're from. Cool stuff. Andre says, I would like to move to a senior role in a big tech company. Andres, bro, I hate to break the news to you, bro. You probably don't want to try to work in big tech right now. So a lot of people talk about the layoffs that are happening. One thing is that the layoffs have actually calmed down. Last year, there were actually 4 times as many layoffs as this year. So technically, the market is 4 times better this year than it was last year, 3 to 4 times better. That being said, the companies that are doing the layoffs and mainly have been doing the layoffs typically are those big tech or unicorn tech type of companies. Not all of big tech, because again, Trey is here in the comments. He's at a big tech company, but he's not at like one of like the main companies, the Meta, Amazon, Apple, Netflix, Google. Nevertheless, still Godspeed to you. Not saying it won't work out for you. Most likely will still work out for you, but just definitely be a little cautious when it comes to wanting to work in big tech, because there's big opportunities whether or not you're in big tech or not. Anyway, going on to the comments on the topic. Trey, speaking of Trey, he says what's crazy is that the self-driving system is provided by a startup. That's true. I'm happy that you pointed that out, Trey, that you noticed that yeah, it's literally a startup. So it will be really crazy for a startup to pass Tesla, where Tesla is a super giant right now. And so it goes to show that even in this day and age, you can create a startup that can compete with giants like Tesla, which I think is incredible. What do we got? Got another comment. Someone said, do you think Toyota will make the self-driving feature an add-on for a higher price? Are you saying that they would make it add-on for their vehicle, or do you mean that they'll make it an add-on where they will like license it to other companies, where they'll allow their competitors to use it and they get paid for it? I think you mean the first part. That's a really good question. You know what? Oh, that's a really good question. Actually, what do you think about that? Do you think it would be smart for a company to make this fully self-driving an add-on feature that someone would have to pay maybe a subscription for? Or do you think that they will just make it a feature that's embedded in the vehicles in general?
Definitely a fascinating insight and a wonderful question. I believe that it would probably be best for the company's bottom line to just make it a general feature. Obviously, subscription based models are genius, the way that they bring in profit and revenue. But when we're talking about the application of it, I think that it would just be more streamlined if it was just a general feature of the vehicle itself. We have to also think of ethics and privacy. We're thinking of massive amounts of data, massive amounts of control when we're speaking of self-driving vehicles. So this also has to be considered, but I'm really interested to see exactly how they go about this for sure.
Man, I wonder if what a lot of companies, because I agree with what you said. I think that the companies are not going to make it a subscription. Part of the reason why is because most people are weary of fully self-driving vehicles or fully autonomous vehicles. And so I wonder if the reverse will happen. I wonder if car companies will make it a add-on automatically. And then maybe after 10 years or so of the market shifting to where, because let's be real, y'all, after 5 or 10 years of most of our cars having self-driving abilities, depending on the percentage of accidents, most people at that point will be used to self-driving cars and it'll be normal. I wonder if the opposite will happen, where they will have it be automatically included into the vehicles until the market gets used to it, and then the market even prefers autonomous vehicles, and then they switch it to where they're like, okay, now in order to have your vehicle be self-driving, you now have to pay this subscription. Again, just a theory that I have on it. All right, see y'all in the comments. Yeah, so he says an add-on for the Toyota electric car. Andre says, I agree. Great marketer. He builds things, He builds things, the crazy ideas we all desire to see. I'm just reading it exactly how you put it down. But I get what you're saying. Yeah, he's speaking about Elon Musk. Yeah, y'all, it's pretty interesting. Also, y'all, everybody that is tuning in, if y'all can make sure y'all hit the like button for us. That's the only request that we have, whether you're tuning in from LinkedIn or YouTube. Just go ahead and hit the like button. Y'all already know how that helps out with the algorithm and helps the performance of our content. And so that being said, we're going to go ahead and wrap up this piece of tech news, and we're going to go ahead and pass it over for some AI news to Ashley.
All right, guys. Excellent presentation, Cyrus. Thank you very, very much. It's given us a lot to think about and consider. And so let's go ahead and get started here. Let me share my screen. Let me start the presentation process. All right, guys. So here we go. Boom. So today we will be speaking of the latest AI news and advancements. So you guys, we have a lot to cover. As Cyrus said, there's a lot of things going on, not only on the tech side, but also on the policy side. So just as a high level overview, we're going to be covering, of course, some new advancements within generative AI, and also speaking on how we are streamlining efficiency and productivity with robots and robotics, and of course, getting into ethical AI and governance. So we're going to start with this video right here. And we're just going to let this play for you guys. But imagine this. Believe it or not, this is AI generated videos. And I know that you guys have already seen this, but I really wanted to include it just because this is continuously evolving as far as features that are going to be revolutionizing the industry, all industries, for creators, for movie producers, for actresses and actors. We already see this coming. So it's only becoming more and more realistic. So, with this video, imagine commercials, you guys, that are going to be AI, 100% AI driven commercials, 100% AI driven movies. This is the future. And we've already seen, a lot of these innovations, but it's really important to highlight because there are more features that are coming out day to day. So I know you guys have already heard of Sora, that's generative AI platform that is by OpenAI, but there are also new ones coming along, such as Runway, which is a direct competitor with Sora and OpenAI. So for example, you guys, that was one of the latest videos from their latest generative AI model. And this is called their Gen 2 model. And so essentially we're looking at creating hyper realistic videos and also photos, visuals. Essentially, this will really ramp up the ability for multilingual lip sync and special effects, really bringing that innovation and change to our industries as far as movies, as far as actors, actresses, and creators. So it's taking it to the next level. So we're also really looking at how this is applied on a professional level. So of course we have, cinematics, we have cinema, but also on a professional standard, we have, for example, McKinsey. So, well-known company, they have determined that up to 65% of organizations are using generative AI, and this is in at least one of their business functions, you guys. So, that's why I wanted to include it. This is going to be absolutely huge. And so, the implications of this, we're looking at, of course, maximizing, creating lots of value, and of course, reducing costs. So this is really going to change everything. It's going to allow businesses to not only increase their revenue overall, but also streamline their supply chain management. So this is just the beginning, but we're really looking at a ramp up when it comes to generative AI. So keep an eye out and definitely even try some developments yourself. There are massive availabilities that you can try it out, even if you're interested in, a particular visual idea. Try out Runway, see exactly what you can create. It's really fun and interesting. So getting into AI education, you guys, this is going to be huge. So with this particular article, the NEA approves AI guidance, but it's vital for educators to tread carefully, right? And what exactly is this article covering? So we're looking at bringing AI into education, into our classrooms. So the NEA is standing for the National Education Association. And essentially, they approved a policy on AI in education, emphasizing its safety and equity. So essentially, our policy is aiming to guide AI use in classrooms, focusing on professional development, ethical use, data protection, and of course, readily available access. So essentially, we're looking at highlighting the importance of human involvement in teaching and advocating against AI replacing educators. This would be more so applied where AI is enhancing education and not more so replacing it. So, of course, there are several concerns about AI in classrooms, including, of course, biases, the digital divide, environmental impacts, and, of course, the misuse for high stake decisions. But nonetheless, we're really looking at changes on a government level, you guys, and this is really the first step. So the NEA is planning to advocate for these AI policies at a federal, state, and local level. I also included the link just in case you guys wanted to check it out yourself. But let's go ahead and really bring it to you guys because we're interested in seeing what you think. Obviously, this is something new. This is something exciting. What are your thoughts on bringing AI regulation, AI ethics into the classroom? So let's start off with the first question. So what are your initial thoughts? Do you guys believe that AI will enhance classrooms? Do you believe that AI should not at all be integrated into that particular setting? I am definitely interested in hearing your thoughts. So let's cover a few of these questions here. Okay, so
in the comments.
Okay, yes, go ahead, Cyrus.
Oh no, yeah, a few people are already commenting. They're commenting on the actor part. So was one person that's funny. ALR about the automatic about the autonomous vehicles. They said that if they bundle it with Disney Plus, then they'll take it. That's funny. But Wu TB says Ashley needs to get the channel back running. Get the channel back running. These contents is much appreciated. Y'all know I'm terrible at reading sentences whenever there's not a comma because I'm trying to figure out figure out what exactly you're saying. So what channel? Do you know what kind of channel they're talking about, Ashley?
I did have like a YouTube channel. I'm not sure, but you're absolutely right. I should bring it back.
Oh, look at that! Somebody just
the throwback, yeah.
Look at that! It's a day one person here that's calling you out. They like bring your old channel back. Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and put a petition out for her to bring her old channel back. So Margaret says AI generated movies is crazy. How are A-list actors going to make money? We've got someone else that followed up. and says, looks like Rod, the cloud engineer, says a list of actors can license their face and A-list actors can license their face and voice. That is very true. But my question to you, and I believe it's Roddy, my question to you, Roddy, the cloud engineer, you say that A-list actors can license their face and voice, which I agree with you. But what happens in the future? Like, are we going to get to a day and age where there are no longer such thing as A-list actors? Maybe the A-list actors are all going to be AI generated, completely like fake people. They don't even really exist. And then that's how they eventually can kind of like push out even having to pay real actors anything at all. That's one thing I'm curious about. So Andres says the actor's likeness in a short term is a short term fix. I think it'll work against them in the long term. Maybe he says maybe they'll sell 100% of their likeness when they're broke. Kind of how artists sell their masters, or they'll sell like their discography or their music catalog for a lot of money. I wonder if that same thing. Y'all are making some really interesting points. Some really interesting points. So to ask these questions, you says, okay, what are initial thoughts? Yeah, so what are initial thoughts on NEA's new policy statement regarding AI in classrooms? And what are your views on NEA's call for equitable access to AI tools in education? My opinion on it, I like that they're doing this from a moral standpoint because, of course, we want to minimize people losing their jobs, especially jobs like being a teacher, which is such a bedrock to society and culture upbringing. You know, a lot of kids spend as much time, if not more time, with their teachers than they do their own parents. So in a way, teachers are an extension of family and parents to some degree. At the same time, though, I wonder how many people would prefer for AI to teach their children, because there are a lot of parents that are against certain things that are happening in schools. They're just saying what it is. There are a lot of parents that are against certain things that are being taught, whether politically or whether things that are being taught in terms of transgenderism, or it's a variety of things that parents have been pushing back against. But on the flip side, some parents have been loving the things that have been happening in schools. So I wonder if there will be parents that will kind of treat this almost like a bit of homeschooling, where they will purchase these tools and say, you know what, I'm going to have this AI homeschool our kids in the house.
Yes.
Rod says, I think actors will go towards something live, such as a theater. If we're talking about film actors, it's over for them unless there's regulation. I think you might be right. Oh, look, Rashawn N says, you prefer AI teaching my child. Are you saying that you do? Or are you saying I prefer? Because you say you prefer AI teaching my child. So that's crazy. What's the other questions we have in here? Do we agree with the NEA stance on ethical development and data protection practices for AI education? How should schools balance the potential benefits of AI with the need to protect student privacy? There's so many layers to this. So many layers. Oh, yeah, we're trying to clarify. Okay, so you meant that you prefer AI teaching your child. You know what? I don't even think you're crazy for saying that. I'm just gonna leave it there. I don't think you're necessarily crazy for saying that. Because people have homeschool teachers all the time, and so that's an interesting take. The article has potential to assist with administrative tasks and lesson planning. Man, this will be a game changer for teachers, honestly, because teachers talk about this. Teachers say that their hardest work is grading tests. I think this would be great because if the AI is grading tests, maybe it'll be less biased than certain teachers could be, and be more specific. I mean, teachers while they're grading tests, sometimes they start getting sleepy, or they start getting a bit like tired or lethargic, and then sometimes they start speeding through grading the test. I mean, but AI isn't going to have those problems.
Yes.
John said, as long as I can set standards. Yeah, because I mean, if it's your AI tool, you can set certain parameters around it, almost like you hiring a homeschool teacher and saying, hey, these are the things that I don't want you talking to my child about. I don't want you doing this. I don't want you doing that. Even like religion wise, oftentimes parents homeschool their children or put them in private schools because that local community, since they're directly funding that school, they're able to determine what is being taught or what can't be taught to their children, versus public schools where parents can complain But at the end of the day, there's not much change you could do. It's really up to the local government that decides what's happening. And y'all are making some really, really interesting points.
Oh, absolutely. And your insights are absolutely incredible, Cyrus. I mean, as we speak to really streamlining administrative tasks and lesson planning, I mean, it really takes AI education to the next level. And so, loving to see your comments and thoughts on whether you guys want your future kids to have AI in the classrooms. I mean, imagine you guys, like, I'm trying to imagine back in like elementary school, high school, if we literally had just AI there that would be able to. The thing about AI is that you're able to not only streamline efficiencies, but also personalize. So we spoke to that homeschooled aspect. Imagine having your dream teacher, the educator that's tailored to your particular learning style, really in your palms and it's readily accessible to you and your kids. I mean, definitely game changing.
Man, y'all know I have a question for y'all before we shift topics. With the first part, what Ashley was talking about, with basically um, where it was ultimately talking about us being able to watch these movies and films, and right now AI is producing short films and producing a lot of different videos. Do y'all think we would go towards a future that's more like Terminator, where it's actual robots with AI within them that are regulating everything and controlling things? Or do y'all think it will be more of a world like the Matrix, where we will be in a virtual reality, like, and the robots will be creating a world just like they're creating these movies and films we could watch? They technically could create a world where we will be asleep and we will be thinking we're walking through life. Or do y'all think neither is going to happen? Y'all think like, okay, neither one of those things is going to happen, that the regulations that our government and these companies are putting into place will eventually kind of keep a grip on everything? Wu TV says, with the metaverse and digital twinning, I think it's a good idea. Imagine if the kids get an incentive that they can use via cryptocurrency or a token for participation and learning. Yo, that's a brilliant
Wow.
idea.
Wow.
That is a brilliant idea. See, you're the kind of person they need to have talking to the local government. This is the kind of stuff that they need to be thinking about to implement into the schools. I could tell you were watching Ashley's content before. All right,
Yes, definitely genius.
go ahead.
No, I'm loving this interaction and engagement. I mean, everyone's point is absolutely bringing just, I mean, incredible discussions that's definitely necessary. So, I mean, Reese, your point is really, really amazing. Andres, your point's amazing. Rashawn, everyone, thank you for your insights here. It's really great to see.
Yo, this is a funny comment. Rod says, I think some kid will find a way to hack the AI teacher and make sure all their kids are A's. They get A's across the board.
Probably low key.
That's interesting. Sean says it will be like the Matrix, but not bad. People think it will be Terminator because it is a fantasy for them to have the world in by AI to give an excuse for their lack of success. That's hilarious. Reese has an interesting point. Says we are in the Matrix already, and as time goes, it will drop more and more into everyday life, or drip more and more into. That is actually a current theory right now, that we are living in a simulation, because the idea is that how do we prove we're not in a simulation? And to take it a step further, many scientists say that we will be able to verify we're in a simulation once we create simulation worlds where the AI doesn't know it's in a simulation and it's living life, making its own choices and decisions just like we are. They're saying at that point, when we can create like a virtual world where it's like our world, where it's billions of different AI individuals that are operating and moving and having consequences and getting imprisoned if they break a law or do something, and they don't realize that they're inside of a created AI virtual world. The theory is that will kind of like say that we're in one of those worlds as well. Now for all my Christian folk, I'm not saying that. Don't nobody come for me and be like, Cyrus, you talking crazy. I'm just saying what's being said that's out there, and we're gonna see. Wu says, I think I think it will be a world like the movie Tomorrowland. That was a great movie. If our consciousness awareness is at the right frequency. Yeah, tomorrow. Or you mean Tomorrow World. Or maybe you're thinking Tomorrowland. Maybe I'm thinking of the wrong movie. Are you talking about the movie with Chris Pratt where he goes to the future? I'm not sure. I'm probably thinking of a different movie. All right, please correct me. All right, so y'all are leaving some incredible comments. Are y'all so for the next piece of tech news for this week? This piece is pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. So, the Supreme Court protects the future of content moderation. On Monday, the Supreme Court issued its decision on Moody versus NetChoice and NetChoice versus Paxton, two consequential cases about the future of speech on the internet. The court explicitly extended First Amendment protections to how social media platforms organize, curate, and moderate their feeds, drawing a comparison between internet content moderation and traditional publishers and editors. So the decision elaborates that the compilation and curation of others' speech into an expressive product of its own is entitled to First Amendment protection, that the government cannot get its way just by asserting an interest in better balancing the marketplace of ideas. So to summarize this in so many words, because I had to read this a couple times for me to fully get it. Not as smart as a lot of y'all. A lot of y'all probably could have read it one time and fully got it. But ultimately, what this is sharing is that the Supreme Court is more so siding with social media platforms, allowing them to dictate what's allowed on their platforms. Obviously, the same way that they have this article branded, as we can tell, some people, I've been seeing people comments on it online saying that this is kind of connected to the January 6th event that happened right after the presidential election when Trump lost the election, and how before then, how he was making certain claims on social media. Obviously, he got banned on certain social media platforms, and many people felt that wasn't right. Many people felt, hey, he has freedom of speech. He should be allowed to post whatever he wants. Whereas other people pushed back and said, well, freedom of speech does not extend to social media platforms. These platforms have their own rules and regulations. And of course, other people argue, well, these platforms are biased and they're trying to sway more to the left. All these different things we've been seeing. There's a lot of truth and understanding of the argument on both sides. Nevertheless, I'm curious to know from y'all, like, what do y'all think about this? Like, with the Supreme Court mostly siding with these social media platforms and saying, okay, y'all have freedom to moderate people on platforms or remove people from the platforms, or I don't want to say shadow ban, because shadow banning wasn't mentioned in the article. But what do y'all think about this? Also, what's crazy to me when we look at this and we look at what Ashley was talking about, what's crazy is that if y'all notice, we're in a day and age now where the government is constantly having to create new laws and new regulations based on businesses and technology. Like, we're in a day and age, y'all, that technically everybody that's here, anyone individually right now can create some type of tech business or AI business that the government doesn't have a law in place for, which is wild. The government will literally have to, like, a couple years later, many years later, will be able to say, okay, cool, we need to regulate what you and your business are doing. So technically you could do some stuff where you're not breaking the law. It's in a gray area that the government doesn't have rules around, which is crazy, because the fact that they're just now doing this with social media, the same thing when it comes to, the things that Ashley mentioned. We talk about AI in schools, and, we talk about, okay, what's going to happen with actors and what's going to happen with teachers and AI. It's like the government is not even prepared for this stuff yet. And so it's crazy. I wonder if the government is going to become overwhelmed. And if, I'm going to sound really crazy, if we're going to enter a day and age where eventually some of the tech giants are going to start to run things, where they're like, okay, since we're coming up with all the advancements and deciding certain things, maybe the government is going to eventually have to take a step back. Obviously, we want things governed. We need government. We need these companies to be put in check. But again, that's going into some weird tinfoil hat conspiracy stuff. Just for the sake of conversation. So before jumping over to the comments, Ashley, how aware were you with this? And do you think, like, what are your thoughts on the government siding with social media platforms when it comes to a form of them being able to regulate? Oh, I think you're muted right now. Let me unmute. Okay, you're muted. I unmuted you. Oh, and now you just muted yourself again.
Okay. Well, we're back. I want to say excellent insight, Cyrus. I mean, you hit the nail on the head when we're talking about these companies that are really becoming monopolies, and therefore they're really controlling almost everything, including your own content. So I think that this is very interesting as far as the government really getting involved. We really need to be discussing these policies as far as AI integrations. We already know about Twitter's platform that they have, and they have, I guess it's like an information verification system. So I think that this is very, very necessary for us to be able to have those checks and balances in place, just because there is so much false information available. As we know, anything can basically be copied and anything can be publicized as truth. And so, I mean, we have some really, really great comments here that really speaks to that point. I mean, Shanae says fact or opinion tags should be created. Absolutely. I mean, highlighting whether or not something is truth or whether or not something is opinion is definitely going to be the next phase. As far as these companies that have this massive control, not only over, their own internal kind of systems and procedures, but also for them to have control over our own systems and procedures as far as being content creators or business owners. I am supportive with anything that gives control or power back to the people. So this kind of sounds like they're looking and maybe going more so towards that and acknowledging that these companies are becoming these huge monopolies. But it's definitely a very, very interesting policy that I'm interested to see how it unfolds. I mean, content creation is huge. The majority of, I like to say that this economy is becoming more so of a creator's economy. So it used to be something where it was more so we were all consuming, but now we have an opportunity to become a creation economy where people are really profiting, or people are really making money off of the creations that they have, off of the innovations that they build. So most definitely. I mean, a few of these comments here, I wonder if the government is using AI to draft these bills to keep up the fast changing environment. Absolutely. I mean, that is a great, great point, right? I think that AI can be used in a lot of beneficial ways, especially with writing these policies. I mean, we're going to need to really enhance our policies in some way. So I do believe, I would hope so, that they're actually integrating AI already just to kind of make everything more efficient. But there's obviously a lot more room for improvement. You said definitely we got it early. That's why we need more of us in tech. And absolutely, we need representation in tech. We need everybody to really hit the ground running with innovations and to think of different ways that not only you can leverage technology within your respective industries, but also how you can incorporate and partner with AI. So AI is becoming more so a partner in the way of, we have essentially AI assistants, AI agents. So with, this massive aggregation of data sets that we form conclusions from, essentially we're going to be able to have these AI agents by our sides. They know us more than anybody, you know what I'm saying? And so it's definitely going to be necessary to really look at how this is applied, not only in our personal lives on a one-to-one connection with AI, but on a grander scale with government. So, I mean, I'll pass it back to Cyrus because this is definitely, hits the nail on the head for our innovations and topics for this week.
I actually want to put something out there, not to go too much into detail, but Ashley and I had a meeting earlier. Was it this week? Man, yeah, it was this week. We had a meeting earlier this week. I'm not going to say with who, but it was a meeting that Ashley scheduled with someone that actually is in government. And the meeting was meant to set the stage for us to ultimately be able to. Oh, am I frozen? Looks like I'm frozen on the screen. Okay, I was frozen for a second. But the meeting that we had was basically with the local government, so that way they can start being able to implement AI within certain things. So even like your comment, Rod, where you said, I wonder if government is using AI to draft these bills to keep up with the fast-changing environment. They're currently not. Believe it or not, the government, they're not asleep at the wheel, but again, they're very behind. I'm going to be real y'all, most of everyone that's in this comment section, you are more aware of AI and technology and even how to use it than a lot of our government is, which is really wild to say. And so a lot of them think that they have to be technical. So a lot of them don't even try to really get into it. But obviously they're going to need to for various many various reasons. But yeah, y'all are going in on the comments. Just for the sake of time, I'm going to go ahead and pass it back over to Ashley so we can talk about updates when it comes to some more updates with AI news.
Yes, yes, and wonderful comments, you guys. Rashawn, Andres, I mean, absolutely excellent insights. And so we're going to be covering a lot more on the application for these government agencies and AI policies. So let me go ahead and share my screen here so we can continue with our next phase. So this is very interesting, guys. Prepare to witness this video here.
A life-changing technology that experts say will dramatically transform the world as we know it. How U.S. lawmakers are planning to handle it exactly, that remains unclear. That's why members of both parties have been working to come up with a plan to help Congress navigate AI, meeting with leaders from different industries.
From Elon Musk to Mark Zuckerberg to a lot of lesser known academics and national security types, we got their ideas about how we can continue to catalyze innovation in this space.
Indiana Senator Todd Young is one of a bipartisan group of senators who's been working for months to develop this roadmap for artificial intelligence guidance. It's not legislation, but its goal is to stimulate momentum for AI laws to encourage innovation of technology in the U.S.
It's essential for a country that we stay in the lead. So to do that, we're going to have to educate ourselves, as we did over the last year, on how to mitigate some of the risks associated with deployment of this technology.
Senator Young and other lawmakers.
All right, so that video basically just encapsulates the state of AI policies within our government. So just kind of a high-level overview of where we're at currently. So just kind of getting more so into it, Cyrus shared a wonderful article, and so we're just kind of piggybacking off of that. So with this particular article, essentially we're looking at Congress's really progress on how they can tackle AI and artificial intelligence policies. So essentially, Congress actually launched a bipartisan task force that's dedicated to addressing the challenges and opportunities of artificial intelligence. And essentially, their goal is to ensure that the US remains a leader in AI innovation. Again, as the guy mentioned before, you were looking at being at the forefront of technology and not really be behind, because a lot of these other companies, especially, China, they're obviously very, very advanced with technology. So essentially, this is really the start of how our government is taking the initiative to stay at the forefront. So by implementing these policies, we're really looking at safeguarding against the potential risks. Mitigating risk is huge right now. And AI gives us the opportunity to do that directly. So let's go ahead and get into the details of this specifically so that whenever this comes up in the future, you guys are already in the know. So this particular task force, and it's actually co-chaired by the Representative Jay Arbonneau and Ted Lieu. And so these members are really specializing in bringing a diverse level of expertise to AI-related issues. So if those names come up, you'll be able to ring a bell. And so essentially, this task force is really going to develop a comprehensive report team and also enable those policy recommendations, you guys. So we discussed several policies. Cyrus also mentioned a few articles that were amazing towards this point of actual policies that are going to be able to implement regulatory standards, promote innovation, and protect consumers. So the goal of the government is to maintain national security, right? So this is kind of the beginning. Again, like you said, this isn't necessarily a policy just yet because it is very, very new, but we all need to be having these discussions. I mean, it would be even important for just any of us to discuss exactly how AI can enhance our government. And because with that, it can enhance our lives and improve the standard of living, which is, at the end of the day, the goal. So I'll just keep this short, you guys, but I wanted to make sure that you had all of the information with this particular policy because it really is huge. So essentially, we're looking at the formation as this is the first ever task force. And essentially, they're their goal would be to implement with a 90-day sprint to counter AI threats from the People's Republic of China. And so again, we're taking the initiative to really protect national interests. So this is the beginning. It includes leveraging AI for supply chain integrity and encountering fentanyl flow, drug trafficking, and enhancing digital forensic tools. All right. So we're really beefing up the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, you guys, with AI. But of course, it brings implications to, okay, we don't want to have too much control in this aspect. And so as far as their strategic goal, we're really looking at just disrupting the current initiatives that are in place and providing a structure for optimal innovation. So by aligning these strategies, we're really looking at a future where the government is really involved within policies for AI and exactly how we leverage and utilize the technology in itself. So I'd say that this particular law that they're looking into, of course, is going to be directly applied to state governments, local state governments. But nonetheless, it will also trickle down to our own personal lives and how we utilize and leverage AI itself. So I'm interested to see how you guys think about government being really involved with how you guys use AI. So first and foremost, let's start off by what excites you most about the potential of AI technology. Are you guys excited about having AI part of the government? Does it make you kind of nervous? Definitely interested in hearing your thoughts here. So let's get into some of these questions because you guys have definitely been amazingly involved and engaged. All right. Okay, let's get into it, you guys. So, okay, let's see the newer comments here. Okay, let's start off with Andres. So yes, controlling a government is definitely a government on its own. Tech giants largely control our voices. It could potentially change the government body as we know it. Absolutely. Control is huge in this regard, you guys. And Andres, that is a wonderful point. Rashawn says, one more thing, I believe we need more younger, innovative people in government who understand tech to pass laws. Rashawn, you hit the nail on the head with that one because absolutely. At the end of the day, we can all see how our government officials are not necessarily, educated or don't understand the practical usage of AI technology. So, I absolutely have to agree with you. With what we're trying to do actively, actually, Cyrus and I, is just have discussions with government in regards to how we can implement sustainable solutions by leveraging AI. So it's just the beginning, but nonetheless, absolutely a necessity. So Andres also says it's good that policies are being implemented so the people can still vote without being on the board of directors of the tech companies. Absolutely, absolutely, Andres. Allowing for that flexibility and freedom is very, very important. So again, we're also looking at not only mitigating risk, but mitigating control. Obviously the government is is obviously in control, but the entity itself, we want to be able to maintain our democracy and therefore freedom. So Reese made a great point. The government will eventually need an entire new body of younger people that understands tech as advisors. Yes, you guys are absolutely amazing. And this is completely correct. This is the next step in the next phase. So you guys, as we're getting involved, as you guys start to understand technology and the realm of how AI can be applied into your day-to-day and on a government level, let's definitely be involved. Let's continue to have these conversations because at the end of the day, you guys, you are the future. We are the future as a collective. So it's going to be really important for us to share our voices and to also be involved. So if you're interested in getting involved, if you're interested in really speaking to government with new innovations, with new solutions, then definitely reach out to myself or Cyrus because we are looking to make active change. So Cyrus makes a great point. He says, I feel like our government has not had to work this hard ever. Tech and AI has them actually having to do some work. Absolutely. Absolutely. And this is the dichotomy of decisions. This is the dichotomy of the future because, right, you would think that because technology allows us to streamline efficiencies, that it would just make it easier. But you know what? This is a time where we have to put in the hard work. And it's hard because we have to think, we have to use our brains to be able to produce these solutions as we partner with AI. AI itself isn't going to be able to produce the optimal solutions or outcomes, but it's going to be as AI partners with humans. So let's get into more of these questions here, you guys. Great engagement as always. So it says, I feel like our government has not had to work this hard. Okay, well, that's the same comment, but agreed. Looks like we have some people agreeing here. Like they said in American Gods, that's actually my favorite show, evolve or die. High key, absolutely. I mean, at this point, that's the most, I think that's probably the most essential characteristic that you could possibly have is the ability to adapt. So adapt and evolve, absolutely, that's key. The DEFI is going to the gold rush for us with heads up. Absolutely. I hate when government gets involved in AI. It'll steal the productivity, but people are crazy. So the misuse of the technology is the only reason government should be involved. Andres, I mean, a wonderful point. You guys' engagement is giving me so much to think about and so many wonderful insights. So I mean, I absolutely agree. I mean, we don't want government to be too much in control because the best thing about AI technology right now is that it's open source. You know, anybody can use it in almost any capacity. And, you know, as a collective, we're pretty slow to really understand the application of it just because AI itself is so new. I mean, ChatGPT itself came out, you know, a couple of years ago, but a great comment earlier was that it may have came out to the public, you know, recently, but the government probably has already had, you know, a lot of access to these platforms already. So absolutely. I mean, I'm interested to see Cyrus's thoughts on this, and I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to him because this is some good stuff here.
Well, y'all actually be very surprised how much the government, is not aware of things. Not that OpenAI or ChatGPT would try to hide themselves from the government, but many times the government doesn't care about something until it's too late or it's almost too late, until it's like a threat or something that they should say, okay, we need to be concerned about it now. So I'm pretty sure Sam Altman, OpenAI, there's probably plenty of times they spoke with politicians and other people and they just weren't interested until it went viral and the news went viral and then it broke to the public. And so that's usually how they operate. Because again, if you talk to most politicians, they do not, I mean, you know, Vice President Kamala Harris, what was it, just last year, early last year, she was at a press conference and she had to explain to what the politicians what AI means. She literally said AI is just a fancy phrase that stands for artificial intelligence. And it was like, I thought we all knew that. Like, I thought we knew that since we were kids. But it just shows you how out of touch a lot of them really are. And so I don't think it's something where the government has the latest and newest AI technology and they understand how it works and how to use it. And they're just kind of like, you know, twirling their mustaches. It's the opposite. They're idiots. And let me not say idiots. They're ignorant. Like they're ignorant to what it can do. And obviously what Ashley just presented highlights that they're just now saying, okay, we need an all hands on deck. Now, what's funny is that if you notice, the only reason they care now is because they're worried about China and other countries being better at AI than our government. That's the only reason they care. They're like, oh, okay, AI could probably, you know, hack our systems and launch our nukes, whatever. Oh, AI could probably expose a lot of our information of things happening behind the scenes. Okay, whatever. Wait, you mean to tell us China is using AI? They could become more advanced than us. Then they start to, then they like all hands on deck. Everyone stop what you're doing right now. We cannot let China. It's really funny to me. I think it's all hilarious. Interesting to say. Rashawn says, hot take, I believe the old form of country needs to be retired. Yes, I agree 100%. Unfortunately, we all know that the old government they're not gonna step down. Old leaders, they just want to stay in their position until they pass. They should be included. They should be included in the betterment of humanity instead of federal international. Wait, let me read the whole comment. I believe the old form of country needs to be retired. There are other countries that are democracy. They should be included in the betterment of humanity instead of federal international. So are you basically saying that you believe that we should open up things from it not just being a decisions that are made from a national standpoint, that these should be international discussions that should be happening across the board, maybe with the rest of, I don't know why I can't think right now. I want to say the Geneva Convention, but it's not the Geneva Convention. What is it that the UN, the United Nations? So are you saying more like a United Nations type of thing? Or are you saying even beyond the United Nations and literally the entire global scale? That would be really hard to swing. A lot of countries wouldn't even want to be a part of the conversation. They say, we're going to do. Y'all don't tell us what we can do. DeFi, meaning the decentralized finance. We all can be free financially by being our own bank with all this going on. Yeah, it's so many implications of what's happening and what possibly could happen. And so much. Yeah, I'm curious though. Like I do think the United Nations or the UN, they definitely should be making sure that like it's not just a US type of conversation, but it's involving others as well. That makes a lot of sense in my opinion. Trying to pull something up. I don't know why it's not coming up. Oh, okay, I see why now. All right, cool. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and shift over to the next piece of tech news, and we're actually gonna blast through two pieces because the first part right here isn't really too much to talk about, but the timing of it is actually very appropriate. Let me. Okay, cool. I think I already might have had this up already. All right, but hackers stole OpenAI secrets, raising fears that China could too. So I'll just kind of go through this news really quickly. So early last year, a hacker gained access to the internal messaging systems of OpenAI, the maker of ChatGPT, and stole details about the design of the company's AI technologies. The hacker lifted details from discussions in an online forum where employees talked about OpenAI's latest technologies, according to two people familiar with the incident, but did not get into the systems where the company houses and builds its artificial intelligence. Their executives revealed that the incident to employees, they revealed the incident to employees during an all-hands meeting at the company's San Francisco offices, April 2023, and informed its board of directors, according to the two people, who discussed sensitive information about the company on the condition of anonymity. I always struggle with that word. I'm happy I got it right that time. So, I mean, they got hacked, but obviously this wasn't like a full hack, a full leak of data outside of the employees mentioning things they probably shouldn't have been mentioning on the specific whatever platform that they were on, whether it was via email or Slack or whatever platform they were using to have that information. But this does pose a question of if they could get hacked, what leaks could go over to China. A lot of people are arguing right now that OpenAI isn't even or really ChatGPT isn't really the best when it comes to AI technology. They're just the most popular. I've heard people say that definitely not Gemini, but actually, is it Claude? I think Claude is what a lot of people are arguing performs slightly better than ChatGPT. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it definitely is. And there are a lot of competing platforms, like you mentioned, Gemini as well. So all of these huge tech companies are really trying to compete with their AI systems and therefore trying to be at the forefront of AI assistance, AI avatars, and AI innovation. I do believe that it's necessary just because at the end of the day, these companies, their goal is to really advance and accelerate progress. So that's why we're seeing all of this rapid change, just because all these companies are competing and all of them are obviously trying to be at the forefront, which is very interesting to see unfold, but nonetheless kind of a necessary process. At the same time, of course, there are many risks associated with, these companies and brands with data privacy and security. This is huge. So at the end of the day, the AI system, like I mentioned in our last stream, it's kind of like the AI doesn't fall too far from its creator, right? The apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. So it really, at the end of the day, comes down to a lot of these brands and companies, their missions, their morals, their values. So we see OpenAI having missions, morals, and values that are aligning with kind of, more so of that open source platform where they're trying to create something for the greater good. And of course, most companies are going to, at a face value, have that kind of perception of being a company that's working towards the greater good. But what we really want to see is direct actions when it comes down to their policies and how they're creating these systems. So I would say that OpenAI is doing a great job with that, with ChatGPT. We're now at ChatGPT 4.0, 4 standing for 4 Omni, which has, if you guys already know this, but amazing innovations as far as, we call it multimodal AI. So essentially it's AI that has, of course, text capabilities, voice chat capabilities. You can now speak to AI. It can help you with interviews. It can help you learn a language. And so I would say that for now, OpenAI is at the forefront. And I do also see a lot of other companies, as Cyrus mentioned, trying to catch up, keep up, and really continue to innovate with their own models. But for now, I would definitely say that OpenAI is, top number one, and also a great organization to really keep an eye on as well. So, this is huge. With this article in particular that Cyrus shared about hacking the AI systems, we knew that hacking and, security breaches were going to be inevitable, but the fact that, it almost seems like it was too easy to do that, is absolutely insane. I think that this is only going to strengthen our arguments that we're going to need some sort of policies in place for data protection at the end of the day. So, we're utilizing AI. It's kind of like when cars first came about, you know what I'm saying? We didn't necessarily need the safety belt at first, but now as the car evolved, as the car continued to innovate, we're definitely going to need something in place to protect and keep users safe. So absolutely. I love this article. I think that it's definitely on par with everything that we've been speaking about.
Y'all know what I wonder? So y'all can tell I clearly like apocalypse type of theories. I wonder, there's a theory that I haven't really heard anyone bring up before. And the theory is that, because technically if a hacker, let's say a hacker or even groups of hackers, various hackers are able to hack Claude or hack OpenAI or hack Gemini or hack these AI, and then they're able to sell the information to the black market. And then let's say, okay, we loop in like robotics into it as well. What if we enter a day and age of, instead of there being a one company or instead of it being a Skynet where it's just one company, or instead of it being just a connected system like the Matrix, what if we enter a world where there are several dozen AI terrorists that are just running rampant, whether we're talking like with them using AI like software or them doing something when it comes to robotics? Again, a random apocalypse theory that I'm throwing out there. Y'all can tell I've watched too many apocalypse, in the world type of shows and movies, and I'm into that stuff. So just a random thought. Yes, Claude AI. That's how it is spelled, Claude AI. Definitely look into Claude, because a lot of people have argued that Claude, I think their Claude version 3, some people have argued that it's better than ChatGPT 4.0 or 4.0, like what Ashley just mentioned. I don't really have much of an opinion on it because I haven't used Claude enough, but a lot of content creators are also saying the same thing. They're saying that Claude outperforms a ChatGPT. So I'm 59 and looking to you all to move us forward with our support. We need you all to run for these offices, because as a senior adult, I'm tired of these politicians who are 20 plus years older than me. You know what I'm interested in? Yeah, thank you, Samuel. I think I actually meant Claude 3.5. I think I meant that Claude 3.5 compared to ChatGPT. But what's interesting is that I wonder, because when the government starts using AI, obviously AI is not perfect, and it'll probably never be perfect. Maybe not. Nevertheless, I wonder how the government is going to regulate AI and data when it comes to nefarious things that they're doing. Now we all know that our government is not perfect. Our government does some unethical things behind the scenes that they don't want us to know about. And sometimes our government and other governments are involved with certain things, whether we're talking drug trafficking, whether we're talking, things in terms of, various forms of slavery. I don't want to say the actual type of slavery because, this video might get flagged, but slavery where usually children and women are being enslaved and sent around the world against their will and being used for their bodies. I wonder if the government, how they will deal with AI in the companies that are having this data in terms of what these governments are doing. I wonder if it's something where I don't know, where the government will have to tell these companies, hey, you can't tell people what's going on. If any of this information gets released, you will be seen as a traitor to the government, kind of like that the guy who aired out the CIA some years ago. I don't know why I can't think of his name, but y'all know the white guy who aired out the government and the CIA, and now he can't come back to America. He's considered an enemy of the nation. I think he lives in Russia right now. So yeah, just kind of my quick thoughts on it. I was going to pass it over to Ashley, but it looks like she just got kicked out. I don't know if the chat is frozen for me or not. I know I look frozen on my end. I'm making a crazy face. Am I still frozen on your end, Ashley?
You were frozen, and now I actually cannot see you. It's just a black screen.
Y'all know I'm in Brazil right now. Y'all can hear me though.
We can hear you. We can hear you.
Well, for some of y'all, that might be a good thing to hear me and not have to see me.
I can share my screen just so we have something else to look at here. Mm-hmm. There we go. You there, Cyrus?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
See this one.
All right, you guys. So, just to really just continue on with all of these new exciting policies that we're having with government. So, of course, we're looking at local and state levels, right? And so right now we're covering the state of California, a state that really tries to innovate and also remain with sustainable policies. This is exactly how they are trying to target with AI. So essentially, this article covers how California is advancing unique safety regulations for AI companies, despite tech firm opposition. So, of course, all of these larger companies don't necessarily want to have government control what they're doing. But essentially, as far as this particular legislation, we're looking at a bill that mandates AI companies to test their systems and implement safety measures. So the goal would be to prevent potential misuse, such as disabling the state's electric grid or aiding in the creation of chemical weapons, right? So obviously trying to stay at the forefront of protecting our nation. So this bill focuses on AI systems requiring more than 100 million in computing power to train. So that's huge. Compute is the future. You probably already heard the CEO of OpenAI, Sam Altman, speak on compute. Nvidia, all these companies that are using massive amounts of data, they specialize in compute. So it's interesting to see exactly how they pinpoint their regulations with exactly the amount of compute power. So as we all know, these current AI models do not at all meet the threshold because this is so new, and a lot of AI companies are currently in the evolution and growth stage. So this is really just the beginning of, we see this particular state, California, trying to implement their own state level legislations and policies. So this is readily supported by renowned AI researchers and also by several Democratic Party members, such as Senator Scott Weiner. So let's go ahead and get into the opposition of tech firms. Andres says, sheesh, 100 million. I know, right? Absolutely crazy. But as we know, these huge companies aren't necessarily looking, they're not too happy about any regulation or control. So we know about Meta, we know about Google. These organizations significantly oppose the bill. Essentially, they're arguing that it unfairly targets developers instead of those misusing AI. So the people that they're actually hiring, that's their argument. They're basically saying that they're hindering innovation, reducing AI ecosystems safely, and also regulatory fragmentation. So that's their argument. They're basically just kind of saying that, it's not going to affect the misuse of AI, but it's affecting developers. It's hindering us from being able to innovate and also be able to sustain AI ecosystem safety. So as far as the government, their ideas, their rebuttal on this is essentially by just promoting California as an AI leader, but also they do warn against overregulation. So of course, it's this aspect of control. This particular bill proposes creating a new state agency for all AI oversight and best practices. So imagine your particular state. I know you guys are from all over, but imagine if your state really takes the forefront of AI policy and really tries to implement these safety procedures. How would you guys think about that? What would be your particular stances on if your state was to really take the reins on AI policies and regulations? Essentially, one thing that we're looking at as far as regulating AI, which is a good positive, would be regulating against AI discrimination in the hiring process, right? So we do know that the AI models depend on the input of data and information, and this is subject to significant amounts of bias just because most of the information isn't necessarily from diverse communities. But nonetheless, any way that we can mitigate these biases, mitigate discrimination, this is what we're looking at as far as implementing AI into our policies. So another measure of considerations will allow us to prevent automation discrimination in job and rental application screening. So we'll have, apparently or considerably more opportunities because we'll be able to mitigate bias and discrimination and racism. So what do you guys think about this? Do you believe, first and foremost, that AI itself would be able to mitigate these biases? What do you guys think about our policies that would be able to be integrated to prevent job discrimination or rental discrimination? Do you think that it's a realistic application of these policies? Do you see your state implementing policies? And what are your thoughts on if your state was to take the initiative to implement certain regulatory policies for AI? For example, what do you guys think about the scope of the bill targeting AI systems requiring over $100 million of computing power? Obviously, that means they're targeting huge companies and that it's going to take them a little bit longer to be able to regulate smaller to mid-sized organizations. Do you believe that it's smart to kind of go straight towards these larger, more established companies? Or do you think that we should instead really focus more so on an all-encompassing regulatory kind of idea of where we're protecting our national security through regulating all organizations, not just the big ones? Let's see here.
I'm gonna be real. I'm a gun lover. I'm a person that believes in the right to bear arms. And that being said, the same way I view laws where they regulate what kind of, like, they try to regulate us not being able to have weapons or have guns. The problem with the law, and this is my opinion, y'all are free in the comments to disagree with me, agree with me, whatever. I love it all. But my stance is that it's silly when the government tries to regulate us having weapons, because the only people that are going to abide by the law that says you can't have a weapon or have a gun are law-abiding citizens. If a person is not a law-abiding citizen, they're going to have a gun. Like, I went to the UK earlier this year, and what's interesting is that, obviously they do a lot of stabbings out there, a lot of stabbings, because there are not as many guns out there. Nevertheless, there are still criminals there with guns. And so law-abiding citizens aren't going to have them. So it technically makes them weaker to protect themselves against actual criminals that don't care about the law. Likewise, that's the way that I view this. I kind of side with the tech companies, where it's like, okay, well, you can tell these corporations, hey, but all these that are not even companies, they can do what they're going to do. Like the companies that are against this bill are saying, if anything, it's just going to stifle innovation. It's better, in my opinion, to just have a free market, let everyone, for the most part, do things. Obviously, you need to have some form of boundaries, but allow people to do things so that way we can have more innovation and more creativity, especially if other nations don't have the same boundaries we have. And then it's going to allow them to be able to pass us. Literally, just my thoughts. Woo TV says the UK can't have guns. Yeah, no, they can't. Yeah, they literally are still having sword fights with knives and machetes. Oh my goodness. Andre says, sheesh, 100 million. Yeah, that's interesting. I'm not a huge fan of Governor Newsom. I hope he doesn't run for president. But that's just my opinion leaking out. NIST came with AI risk management framework for implementing AI into businesses. Ashley, can you please go back to the because there were a couple questions that you had that I do think it's important for us to address and see what people think about it. What do you think about the scope of the bill targeting AI systems requiring over $100 million in computing power? How do you feel about the potential misuse of AI, such as disrupting power grids or creating chemical weapons? Tech companies argue that the bill unfairly targets developers. Do you agree or disagree with this viewpoint? Yeah, I want to know, like, kind of going off this, like, what do y'all think? And again, it's totally fine if you disagree with me. We need to have these discussions and conversations. Do you think the concerns about regulatory fragmentation and stifling innovation are valid? Yeah, I mean, y'all know what my stance is on this topic. Andre says, good point. It's pretty crazy. We're going to need to retitle the news for today, and we're going to need to retitle it because clearly this is the week that the government is finally starting to get some stuff done when it comes to AI and putting their 2 cents in. You say, is this Cali only? Yeah, because Governor Newsom, he doesn't have any jurisdiction outside of California, thank God. California has a water shortage, and I think electricity is a part of generating power. I wonder how much power Cali's infrastructure is sustaining. Andres, how does that correlate to the topic? I'm not saying it doesn't, but I'm generally curious because I feel like it's kind of going over my head right now. Ashley, do you know how his comment correlates to the topic?
I believe just in regards to different AI solutions, maybe on a government level. So this really speaks more towards the business relational aspect at a state level, but AI could also be applied definitely in regards to the water shortage, for example, by optimizing and sustaining our power and electricity. So it definitely is a valid point just in regards to exactly the other ways that we can leverage AI to produce sustainable solutions. So yes, one of the major problems and issues of California, most definitely droughts. They do have a water shortage. And I do wonder how they're applying and implementing AI to really address the current problems and issues that they're already having. I know that these systems are already in place, especially with California. Governor Newsom, he's definitely huge within like AI. He understands I guess as we already know, as we see, as he's really trying to be at the forefront of this by implementing it at a state level. But yeah, I mean, as a follow up, Rashawn says, I agree with you. The regulations are invalid. It is rooted in fears of AI because of Hollywood. In order for innovation, you need experimenting. This is why young, innovative minds are required. Absolutely. You hit the nail on the head there. I absolutely agree, Rashawn. Andres also says the $100 million computing power is a lot of electricity. Absolutely. So they're really, going straight for the jugular of larger companies, established companies. And so, that's why that fear aspect really exists, because these organizations are fearful of losing the control that they have. But as Cyrus spoke towards, just really having these open systems, these open source systems is going to be huge, because that's what breeds this creativity and innovation. If everybody has access to it and everybody can kind of see limitless vision for AI in a brighter future. And so, Little Henderson says, can you speak on AI being used to target community groups via social media to socially engineer discord among that group? This is huge, actually. And we've seen this with Facebook, social media. I mean, we all have heard of, they literally went to court for this, but this is very, very important. And that's why it's really going to require a regulatory system of checks and balances, as we kind of spoke on before. So WooTV says we need cybersecurity implemented on all levels as long as we stay afloat to secure AI safety and protection. Creating weapons of malicious intent will result to penalties. Absolutely. Or fines. Absolutely. Absolutely. And that was a great answer to that question. Just because we are going to need some sort of safety measures. You're absolutely correct. And so Chattahoochee Chief says, we could have been so far ahead in this country, man, if it wasn't for greed and bias among the masses. Absolutely. Absolutely. So perhaps we should be leveraging AI to be able to further mitigate these risks and biases. Perhaps this should be more so a push. They're also, of course, trying to establish, control, but I do believe that obviously it would be a better world if we didn't have this kind of ingrained systematic bias and racism that's holding us back as a nation. I completely agree. Andres follows up and says, or maybe I should ask, is the $100 million for how much those servers cost and not electricity use? I believe it's correlated with electricity use, but obviously the servers are going to be very, very expensive with the highest price points possible. Nvidia is well known for creating, the big boy of their data chips and compute power. So we have a follow up here. It says, at Little Henderson, a council of a mixture of AI and humans to regulate AI. People govern people, AI governs AI. Absolutely. We're going to need a hybrid solution. At this point, you're absolutely correct in saying that we need to have several different minds coming together. And you know what? You guys are those minds. So think of how you can get involved. Think of these solutions that you've been processing. These are things that your government could actually use and leverage. So definitely, like I said, you guys are the future, and continue to speak on these new innovations, on your ideas and thoughts on how we can create a more sustainable, regulated, and safe world. At the end of the day, we don't want to give up our democracy that our country was set on. We want to be able to be free as a nation and free as people. So you guys have had, absolutely wonderful insights. So definitely keep them coming. Blue TV says $1 million servers. Absolutely. These are some big boys here. Jonathan Alexander says, if AI ran for president, how far do y'all think it get? Yo, I love that question. You guys, what do you think? What do you think? That's a great question right there. I mean, we need to ask the world this one. Well, I
So
think
look, y'all. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say that it doesn't sound too bad for AI. I mean, maybe not 100% AI president, but I mean, it's not sounding too bad at this point.
Let me know in the comments if y'all have seen Ashley's Instagram page. When I first saw her on Instagram, I thought she was an AI page. Like I thought she was actual AI. I didn't think she was a real person. I was like, oh
True
wow, look,
story.
somebody made an AI person. Because if y'all look at her page, most of her recent pictures and even videos are an AI version of her. So y'all So if y'all look at her page, you know that Ashley's the wrong person to make that question to. She was like, yeah, let's have an AI president.
Facts.
Or maybe she's the right person. So that's funny. Who's to say AI isn't already doing Y'all are hilarious. Yo, y'all are hilarious. Definitely right, since AI bots or conscious AI will be their own entity, they will have to abide to AI laws. Yeah, there's a theory going around, especially when we talk about bots that look humanoid. There's a theory going around that eventually, the same way that people are advocating, and I don't want anybody to get offended by this, but the same way that there are many groups that are advocating for, transgenderism, that are advocating saying, hey, a man can be a woman if he considers himself a woman, or all of these things. There is a theory going around that there will be mass groups of people that will advocate for humanoid bots to be equal, to be seen as equal to us, where people will be marching and saying, yo, AI lives matter or robots lives matter, that they should be at a table with us, that we should treat them with equality and respect. And it's okay if we want to date robots and have relationships with robots and stuff, So I don't know. So I don't think the presidential thing is too far-fetched. I don't think it's too far-fetched. Are y'all? So we're going to do a rapid fire of the last pieces of the tech news that I have up here, and we're gonna get y'all's opinion. So y'all are literally allowed to, in this rapid fire, you have full reign permission to whatever topic you want to speak about, whether it's all of them or one of them. You have full permission to address any one of these topics. And the first one is actually appropriate to what was just being mentioned. Scientists create a robot controlled by a blob of human brain cells. So ultimately, a team of Chinese researchers has stuck a tiny organic or organoid made. I've never even heard that word before. Organoid made from human stem cells into the body of a tiny robot, resulting in a Frankensteinian creation that can learn how to complete certain tasks. So sticking a piece of a blob of human brain inside of a bot, and then the bot being able to do things that they didn't necessarily program it to do, but the programming is already in the brain from memory. I don't know. That's all right. So that's that piece. All right. Now, next we got from The Verge. Now, Threads, which is Meta's version of Twitter, or now X, formerly known as Twitter. Threads has just hit 175 million users after only a year. Meta's rival to Elon Musk X is still growing, just not as quickly. What will the next year hold? So I want to know, like, how many of y'all are actually using Threads? Interesting fact, when I saw 175 million users after a year, I initially wasn't impressed. My thoughts were, okay, so what? What's the big deal? And then I looked up how many people are using Twitter, or X formerly known as Twitter, and the number's actually only about 365 million. So technically, Threads is almost halfway the size of X when it comes to users. Now, that being said, though, the cheat, though, is that the way that Meta released this was that I know they released it through Facebook, they released it through Instagram, and people just basically had to click a few buttons and their account was already set up. So it's not like someone went out of their way to make an account like how people do with X, formerly known as Twitter. But I'm curious to know, do y'all prefer X? Do y'all prefer X over Threads? Do y'all think Threads is better than X? Like, which platform do you think is better? And do you think Threads is eventually going to catch up to X? And the last piece of rapid fire tech news, we talked a lot about regulation and government regulating AI, but we also have here a tech company that is trying to do some form of regulation or more so observation of AI. So Phil Schiller is joining OpenAI's board as an observer role following Apple's ChatGPT deal. So basically, again, he's a high-ranking person at Apple. And since Apple is getting in bed with ChatGPT, Apple said, okay, in order for us to collaborate with ChatGPT, we have to have one of our leaders sit on your board to listen to every meeting of all the behind the scenes of what's happening. Like, basically nothing is supposed to be closed to him. He has access to everything, and he's able to report it back to Apple. And it's supposed to be so Apple can feel like they can trust OpenAI, because as we know, Apple usually does not like to play equals with other companies. They usually don't partner with other companies. They'll just say, okay, if you want us to have your app or your business on our phone, you have to pay us $100 billion a year, $50 billion a year. I'm exaggerating with the numbers, but generally speaking, sometimes it could be several $billion a year, like Google Chrome being on iPhone. You know, a lot of the apps that are operable on iPhone, they have to pay iPhone or Apple a lot of money. And so since Apple is doing this deal with ChatGPT, crazy thing, there's no monetary value in this deal at all. So literally, ChatGPT isn't paying Apple to be on the iPhone or be in the iOS system, which is crazy. Apple has never in history done this, where they say, yo, we value what you're doing so much, we're not going to charge you. We want you on our phone so our users can use your technology. Apple has never done that before. So do y'all think this is good on Apple's part? That, you know, because y'all know Apple is really big on privacy and really big on people's data not being shared. So does this make us feel more comfortable about what's happening with OpenAI and ChatGPT? Or does it not really matter? Does it really just show that Apple is the mafia and they feel like, okay, we run everything? And that we should be able to like peek behind the curtain of your business if we're going to work together. So view in the comments, seeing which piece of these news stuck out to y'all the most. Oh, y'all are going in. Y'all talking about transhumanism. Or transhumanism. That's what it's called. Or are you making up a name? Have you heard of that before, Ashley? Transhumanism?
Yes, and it's actually fascinating. So, in one of the first articles that you presented, speaking of like the biocomputer, so essentially a biocomputer is a computer that has components of biological origins, so like literally consisting of molecular DNA. This like takes like, I'm not even sure what type of DNA they're using, like some sort of brain biological interface, but I mean, that's insane. So the way that they are even incorporating computational elements with biological elements is I mean, it's mind blowing, to be honest. So, yeah, like Cyberpunk, Blade Runner, etc. Like those futures are absolutely inevitable, but also it brings it to kind of being a little scary, a little bit. You know, like I mean, all the articles that you actually presented really encapsulate just like how not only like it's exciting but also a little bit scary as well, just kind of with how much control these companies have, but also the potential of technology as well. So I mean, absolutely insane. I mean, these articles are blowing my mind personally. So
Y'all are hilarious in the comments. Like, y'all are hilarious. Pacific Rim 2 in real life. exactly the ratio. The ratio is off as far as thread numbers. The question of AI compassion comes because of the training process can be argued to cause pain, especially to organic robots you mentioned. Feel the AI is a movement. Wow, that's a movement. I've seen that video going viral of people kicking around that AI bot, like they're kind of circling it. It almost looks like a gang that's picking on a little kid, where they're all kicking the AI bot around. And I've seen a lot of memes where they say this is how the AI revolution starts, where people are saying like this is when the villain was created.
Yeah.
Somebody else said AI and robots are going to show this to their children and say, yeah, see how they used to treat us? That's why we have them enslaved. Genius, the AI tech on Android is a fail. So I hope Apple integrates it better. Google Assistant is way better. You know, are you talking about Android as a phone? You know what's so weird? When you say Android, my mind went to like this image, like an Android. You know what? We're going to need someone, and maybe Ashley's the person for this. We're going to need someone to break down the difference between Android versus AI versus humanoid versus it's like all of these terms in my mind. I mean, I know the difference between a cyborg and an android. I think a cyborg is a person or former person that has attached a lot of technology onto their body as well as into their maybe even their brain. An android is a robot that its skin looks like a human, you know, and I only know that from Dragon Ball Z and the androids. So that's what an android is. Now a humanoid, that's one, again, I just heard that today for my first time. That's one that has me a bit thrown for a loop. Ashley, or people in the comments, can you please explain to me how a humanoid is different from an android or a cyborg?
Well, Cyrus, I think that you have a great understanding of it already. And honestly, it's even over my head. So, I mean, there's so many different aspects of how technology is integrated into our human biome. So, so the very difference of it just kind of lies on the level of technology. So, when we're speaking on like humanoid robots, of course, like they still have humanistic aspects, but that doesn't also mean that they're necessarily, you know, a human or was a human. Humanoid robots essentially can just like reflect that they are humanistic, that they look like humans, just a creation of human nature or mankind. Androids, of course, are simply 100% computational, you know, robots. And transhuman, I mean, the essence of itself. There we go. That Cyrus is doing the perfect thing of being able to. There we go, Cyrus. Go ahead.
Interesting. So I wasn't trying to cut you off, actually. I didn't.
No, that's perfect because I was having some.
So we're using AI to explain to us. We're using AI to tell us about the difference. So using ChatGPT 4.0, in summary, a humanoid is a human-shaped entity. It may not necessarily be a robot. So let me go up for the further explanation. So humanoid definition: a humanoid is a being or a robot that has a human-like shape and appearance. The term humanoid does not imply any specific material or internal structure, merely that the entity has a form similar to that of a human. Example given: a head, a torso, arms, and legs. Examples: robots designed with a human shape for tasks in human environments. Okay, so technically robots that have arms and legs and look like humans could be technically a humanoid. Android is a subtype of human, specifically a robot that not only has a human-like shape, but also mimics human appearance and behaviors to a high degree. The term is often used to describe robots designed to look and act like humans with lifelike skin, facial expressions. Okay, examples. This is a perfect example. Data from Star Trek. Let's see everybody's age and see if any of y'all gonna age yourselves of who all knows Data from Star Trek. The only reason I know it is because as a kid, my dad all he would do is just sit down and watch Star Trek all the time. And that's the only memories I have spending time with my father. Somebody cue the violins. Cyborg. A cyborg is short for a cybernetic organism. Is a being that combines organic and biomechatronic body parts. Unlike humanoids and androids, cyborgs are typically living beings, often humans, who have been augmented with mechanical or electronic devices. Examples: the character RoboCop. Oh, they're giving like some real life examples that we can all understand. I love that. That's cool. That's super cool. So y'all see in real time, even we have to have to use this stuff. But let's see. Android from Dragon Ball Z is hilarious. From Andres. Let's see. All right. This feels like a live AI masterclass. It's definitely litty for real. Yeah, no, this is a lot of fun. Definitely for those of y'all that are interested in more of this, but understanding specifically how to apply what AI tools to your own lives, definitely tap in with Ashley. Y'all can click the drop down link or the description link, and you'll see, or the description, and you'll see the link there to be able to book a consultation. She's already done a bunch of consultations this week from people that tuned into the stream last week. So y'all definitely make sure y'all tap in with her when it comes to that. Let's see. All right. It's a way to advance humanity. The idea is that there will be a point where humans, regardless of how good you are, is not enough to survive and thrive. So transhumanism is the cure to be human. Wow. AI bot villain story. Yeah, you clarify Android as in Samsung, Android OS. Yeah, we are going to have to, people are going to have to start saying Android OS and not just say Android in the future. Android from DBZ is hilarious. And Android, entirely artificial, cyborgs, combination of organic and artificial parts. Yep, true. Oh, y'all are going in. Data was a black dude. Was Data black? I don't think Data was black. I don't think Data from Star Trek was black. We about to get into a whole Jesus thing. Was he black or not? Exactly. I was thinking RoboCop. Oh yeah, so you looked it up and realized that he's not black. You said LOL wrong. Sorry. I was super wrong. Yeah, I was like, he was not black. I don't know what he was. Damn. Okay, she's gonna restart the YouTube channel. Great. This is a lot of fun. Y'all are the MVP because y'all are going in these comments. Y'all are hilarious. Jonathan says, Jonathan, you're the MVP. I think you're the only person, or maybe one of two people, that have been commenting from LinkedIn. It's been YouTube that's been going ham in the chat. Jonathan says most aliens in media, like Dragon Ball Z, that have more human features are considered humanoid. Y'all know what's weird to me? Cell during the Cell saga, Cell never seemed like an android to me. Like that felt like such a weird thing. I was like, okay, the rest of these look like androids. Cell is clearly an alien, maybe with some technology. I thought when Cell came along, I was like, what is even going on? This is an alien. This is not an android. Anyway, can you speak on the singularity? Mighty Savage says we will need some serious governing laws to make sure this doesn't get out of hand. Look, y'all are the MVP. Y'all been going in on the chat. Again, y'all know I'm out here in Brazil. So look, y'all, we're about to go ahead and wrap things up. Again, if you have not hit the like button, only thing we ask before you hop off is that you hit the like button. Also, for those of y'all, like I mentioned before, that are interested in actual AI consultation, a few people have already booked with Ashley and gotten some AI consultations. For those of y'all that are interested in AI consultation, to be able to scale your business, your profession, your brand, whatever that might be, even just yourself in general, being able to copy yourself in certain ways using AI, tap in with Ashley because she is the resource when it comes to all of that. I'm just a visitor. Ashley lives here when it comes to AI. But when it comes to tech career, anybody wants to be able to schedule a tech career consultation with me, I have a 30-minute and 1 hour consultation to scale when it comes to breaking into tech or scaling in tech. But most importantly, when it comes to me, make sure y'all tap in with Techpreneur Saturday that's happening next Saturday in Atlanta, Georgia.
Yes.
Techpreneur Saturday is essentially, it's a combination of a few things. One, it's the actual podcast in person, but it's just one interview. Aside from that, it's a podcast where you actually will be able to engage in person with the keynote guests that we'll have on stage. You'll be able to ask questions. You will actually be featured on the podcast episodes, both in video as well as in audio. It's also networking with tech professionals, different recruiters, and a variety of others that are going to be at the event, as well as there being food, drinks, alcohol, DJs spinning. It's really all the vibes that you need, the networking that you need to both have a good time. Come out. Most importantly, y'all, it is completely free. It's literally open registration. And so definitely pull up if you're in the Atlanta area. You're not going to want to miss out because it's going to be an incredible, incredible time. We'll be announcing our special keynote speaker for this upcoming Techpreneur Saturday that, again, is going to be taking place next Saturday in Atlanta, Georgia, July 13th at 1 p.m. Click the description down below so that way you can go ahead and register before registrations close out. We are already over 60% registration capacity. So make sure y'all go ahead and register so that way you do not miss your slot. Aside from that, y'all, we love y'all so much. So very much. Appreciate y'all for being here. Thank y'all for being engaging, for being funny, for being the MVP of this stream, of this Saturday morning tech and AI news. Thank you to my special guest, Ashley, for so much for being on here.
Yes, thank you guys. Excellent engagement as always. And until next time.
All right, guys, enjoy the rest of y'all's weekend.